All right, our top story today, and this one often gets missed out from the headlines, so we thought it's important that you understand what's happening in Manipur. The latest from Manipur looks rather grim. Early in this year, 2026, fresh violence broke out on the districts of Ukhrul. Homes were set on fire, gunshots were reported, curfew was imposed, internet was cut. This time, the immediate trigger involved clashes between Naga and the Kuki groups. This has happened for the first time. But zoom out from the current situation and it becomes very, very clear that it's not a new conflict. It is a continuation of the same unresolved crisis that began back in May of 2023. Now, to understand why Manipur keeps slipping back into violence, we need to go back and understand the history a little bit. So let's rewind. What and where is Manipur? Why is the entire geography so significant? Now, Manipur, as we know, is a small northeastern state with a very sharp geographic divide. The center of the Imphal Valley, also around it, are the Hills district. The geography shapes everything here. The valley is dominated by the Meitei community, mostly Hindu, politically powerful, economically dominant, urban and densely populated. The hills are home to the tribal communities. That's mainly the Kuki-Zo and the Naga groups protected under the scheduled tribe laws, and their land cannot be freely bought by outsiders. So you understand there that there are some who hold power, there are others who hold the land. Meiteis form about half of the population, but they hold nearly almost a little less than 90% of the assembly seats because of the constituencies in concern and the concentration of how it's built in the valley. Tribal groups are spread across the large, hill areas, but have fewer seats. Their main protection is land, the land rights guarantees that come with the constitution. So from the start, there is a tension. One group is politically more powerful and the other is legally protected, also has a very strong attachment to the land. We'll tell you why in just a minute. Now, these tensions, as we've been telling you, are not new. The division started back in 2023. But even before that, if you go back in history, you understand that during the British rule, the hill tribes and valley communities were governed separately. That separation hardened their identities as well. After independence, insurgent movement grew. The Meitei insurgent groups spoke about protection, Manipur's territory sort of integrity as well. The Kuki and Naga groups demanded autonomy and separate administration. Decades of insurgency, counter-insurgency, followed by the Armed Forces Special Power Act, brought heavy militarization in the area. And trust between the communities and the state, that kept eroding. What changed just before 2023? Now that's important to understand because this is where the story shifts. Under the Biren Singh government, two things became flashpoints. One was the war on drug campaign, and then the poppy cultivation was targeted mainly in the Kuki-dominated area. Mainly, many of the Kukis saw it as a selective punishment as well. And then second was the repeated claim of illegal immigration from Myanmar into the Kuki areas. Again, Kukis felt they were being painted as outsiders in their own land. Tensions were already high when the legal spark arrived. And then in April of 2023, the Manipur High Court asked the state to consider granting scheduled tribes the status of scheduled tribes to the Meiteis. Now, for hill tribes, this was explosive. ST status would mean that the Meiteis could legally access hill land and also tribal areas and the quotas there. Protests erupted. On 3rd of May 2023, the Tribal Solidarity March turned violent. What followed was arson, killings, and mass displacement. The state fractured almost overnight. The police armories there were looted, thousands of weapons entered civilian hands, armed groups and vigilantes emerged on both sides. Revenge attacks followed, revenge attacks. The entire locality became ethnically, segregated. The Meiteis filled the hill areas, Kukis fled from the valley, sexual violence cases, mob killings, misinformation. That was so deeply entrenched, it was hard to tell what was really happening. The scale of crisis really grew up. over 260 people were killed, around 60,000 displaced, thousands of homes and religious sites were destroyed. People who lived together for generations now lived behind checkpoints or in relief camps. So as a response, what happened politically here? Let's take a look at that. In February of 2025, Chief Minister Biren Singh resigned. President's rule was imposed. But changing the government did not really change ground realities. The distrust, that remained, weapons remained, the trauma remained as well. The core issues are still unresolved. The Meiteis fear loss of political and cultural dominance. The Kuki-Zo groups also fear loss of land, identity, and even safety. Justice has been slow. Police neutrality is questioned. Dialogue is very fragile. So even a local fight or a rumor can explode into wider violence, which is exactly what happened this morning as well. So a simple way to understand what's happening in Manipur is this. This is not just about riots that unfolded today or which have been unfolding for the past 2 years. It is about who belongs where, who controls land, and who controls power. Until these questions are addressed honestly and politically, Manipur will remain being stuck in cycles of calm and collapse. And what you're seeing here right now in front of you on that screen is not just a story of what unfolded today or how 2026 has started. It is not a new story. It is the same unfinished story that continues to haunt the state. All right, joining us now for more details on this is my colleague Tapas, who's been tracking all those details over there. Tapas, we've done a real deep dive to understand what exactly happened in Manipur, but it seems like the president's rule has not worked, a new government has not worked, and any new assurances being provided by a new cabinet which has been set up, 2 deputy chief ministers set up, all of that is not cutting ice with the people.
Well, yes, absolutely, Sonal, because over a period of time, it seemed that once those who lived as friends are now bloodthirsty of each other. As you rightly pointed out, that they are now being segregated by checkposts. And this seems to be a new normal in Manipur. Now, over a given period of time, after the president rule was imposed, there were violence reported, but there were a lot of hope that with the formation of the new government, with having a chief minister and also the deputy chief minister, 2 deputy chief ministers, one representing Kuki and other representing Naga community, would help die down the situation. But they did not work in the first place. We had seen similar protests happening since last week, where road blockades happened, when police went to disperse the crowd. There were resistance from the protesters, but yesterday late at night, as intermittent firing happened in Ukhrul district, several houses were torched. The question have remained the same. People have come back to square one. What is the solution and how we can reach to that solution? The government have assured all help, both to the Kuki-Zo as well as to the Nagas and also to the Meiteis. But despite that, it seems that the parties are not happy with the formation of this government. As of now, as the latest information that we are getting, that in Ukhrul, there are several places where curfew have been imposed, internet have been suspended. Can you imagine that internet will be suspended for at least next 5 days? That's what the government is contemplating at this moment. So you are cut out from the rest of India, rest of the world. That's been the new normal in Manipur, and it's continuing since last almost 3 years. As of now, additional force deployment have happened. Now more force will be mobilized if required. Checkposts have been set up in different areas to contain the situation. Now even police had to resort to some mild lathi charge in places, tear shells in some places to disperse the crowd.
But Tapas, help us understand what was the immediate trigger this time around?
Well, after formation of the government, the Kuki-Zo and there were people from civil society who were not happy to have a representative from their community as the deputy chief minister when their perennial demands were not met. And their perennial demand remains the control, the development, and also the kind of allegations were leveled against them, the kind of cases that were lashed against their people. They wanted those to be taken back. Overall, what the Kuki-Zo community people at large says that their demands were not met, and despite having a deputy chief minister from their community, they were not happy. There were several rounds of talks that happened with Kuki-Zo, with Meiteis in different point in time.
Okay.
But it seems that the perennial demand of them have not been met. But as of now, the government is leaving no stone unturned as the chief minister is taking stock of this situation. And if required, there will be a comprehensive report that will be prepared. But as of now, to keep and maintain law and order situation, to maintain peace in the area remains to be the top priority for the government and law enforcement agencies. That's what they are trying. But as of now, as we speak, the situation still remains volatile. It's almost dusk time now, and everybody is contemplating that the entire night, the stretch of night must pass peacefully. But to keep that, additional forces have been deployed, route marches are being carried out. So that's the kind of a volatile situation that people of Manipur, especially in Ukhrul, are living at this moment. Sonal.
All right, Tapas, we'll leave it there, but keep a very keen eye on the situation and keep updating us on everything that's happening. Situation in Manipur, for far too long, Manipur has been on the burn, and we thought that a new government would really sort it out, but clearly that's not working. They are not in sync with what people on the ground want.